Ralph Story here, and for the next hour we will explore psychic phenomena, astrology, witchcraft, and all those mysterious secrets hidden in the mystical world of the occult. Since the beginning of time, man has been mulling over the magic and the mysterious. It's been reported that when Adam awakened with a strange pain in his side to find Eve, perhaps this was the first occult happening. Well, at least we do know that Eve went on to become much more than just a pain in the side.
I don't think that's very funny.
The point is, even today, strange things do happen, or at least seem to happen. And whether we're magicians or mechanics, gurus or go-go dancers, the occult is very much with us. Presidents Teddy Roosevelt and Dwight Eisenhower frequently consulted astrologers. Last year, we bought over 200,000 Ouija boards and read witches' tales written by self-proclaimed witches. In 1969, the world tensely awaited a giant earthquake predicted by psychic Edgar Cayce. And all sorts of people have had psychic experiences of one kind or another.
I see things you wouldn't believe.
I had my palm read once, and they said everything was going to be fine, and everything came out wrong.
I'm a Capricorn, and I'm looking forward to the age of Aquarius.
Aquarius? Isn't that where you keep fish?
I think they've all slept. Point seems to be that we've all been caught up in some kind of mysterious spell, a sort of compulsive occultism.
There really is no question in my mind that each one of these areas of the occult or astrology, all forms of metaphysics, are based on great truths. I would not argue with any of them.
I believe, what can I say? I believe in ghosts, I believe in the occult, in ESP, I believe in flying saucers. In fact, I hope one lands in my backyard.
I'm a big astrological fan. In fact, I'm wearing an astrological bikini. The red is for fire, the blue is for water, the green is for earth, the yellow for air. You know, it's really very amusing today. When you go to a party, no one says, hello, I'm Terry, what is your name? People usually say, what's your sign? Signs aren't sexy. People are.
Now, opinions are varied, but one fact stands out. Led by our youth, great numbers of us, for the first time, are beginning to ogle the occult. Where is it happening? Who's doing it, and to whom? Well, we're about to find out. We'll visit a witch who is officially recognized by the County of Los Angeles. We'll meet a computer in New York that predicts our astrological future. We'll have our cards read, our palms read, yes, even the bumps on our heads read.
Greetings, my friends. My name is Criswell. 1 to a century.
You gotta be kidding.
I predict, I will predict, and predict. Remember that prediction.
Is all of this fact or fiction? Well, we're not going to attempt an answer. We'll just show you one side of the coin, the side where people live in the occult. It's up to you to make it heads or tails.
girls are taking such an interest in politics that within 10 years we will not have 9 old men on the Supreme Court, but 9 old women.
Most of us remember witches as ugly old ladies who romped around on brooms, cackling, casting spells, and making things miserable for Judy Garland. But now we know better. Or do we?
A witch is a psychic female with magical secrets and sheer force of will makes things happen. I'm a witch. My mother's a witch. My grandmother is a witch, and my grandmother's great-grandmother was a witch. I'm a 6th generation witch. With magic, I control energy. Light's the flame, bright's the fire, red is the color of desire. Well, that chant was used in July of 1968 as part of a spell cast at the Hollywood Bowl. And the spell was cast in order to increase sexual vitality in Los Angeles County. And that was the reason that I was designated official witch. Now, a witch is a psychic female who disturbs her environment.
This is Princess Leda, who goes one step further. She believes that she can make things happen just by mentioning her name.
In fact, anything that I inscribe in wax and sign with my royal family name comes to pass. Witchcraft attempts to deceive, cajole, and otherwise disturb natural inclinations and occurrences. Witches know about the universal energy of which all things are parts. You know, you have to take into consideration what sort of people race around saying they're psychic or they're a witch. You wouldn't get a governor saying he's psychic, a president or mayor of a city saying he's psychic. And so when anybody puts a shingle out and says, look, this is what I do, either they're very brave and confident of their ability to impress you with their rationale, or they're flaky. And I say the majority of people who are admitting to being witches and psychics are a little bit kooky.
I believe in witchcraft. I cast spells all the time. Witch. Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell. I can't tell which witch is which.
I can lead with the devil as much as any mortal can possibly be.
I would lead with the dark side of nature.
Still poo-pooing the peculiar? Okay, let's pretend you just moved into a new neighborhood and these are your neighbors. They seem nice. So what if he shaves his head? 1,000 years ago, that was the in thing.
This type of device was known as a holy water sprinkler at one time.
Come on in and meet the gang, they say.
Rejoices in the baying of dogs and spilt blood. The wanderers in the midst of fame.
Your first thought might be, forgot to pay his light bill.
More go. More no.
Then it occurs to you that there may be a few other unpaid bills around, like one to the interior decorator.
Hail Satan.
And another to the psychiatrist.
Hail Satan. Open wide the gates of hell.
There's the satanic religion, which insists that they are practicing witchcraft and are not. It's a very polite cover-up for sexual perversion.
They're looking for a freer expression of how they feel about things. But although the company is interesting, conversation is rather dull.
In the name of Lucifer excelsis Dei. In the name of our most exalted God, Satan Lucifer, I command thee to come forth. Come forth, and bestow these blessings of hell upon us. Come forth, by these names.
Well, it should be obvious by now that you haven't moved next door to Ozzie and Harriet.
I think they're nuts. No, they come in, you know, they're nice doctors and lawyers and very prominent people. And then they come in and they turn into completely different people.
You've got to be kidding. No, we haven't been putting you on. These are real people, members of the first Satanic Church headed by Anton LaVey. And what we've seen are parts of their religious services from the new movie called Satanism. The point is, they could very well be your neighbors if you happen to move into this residential section of San Francisco.
I think it's just something that you believe in, and if you feel that you are expressing yourself and your will through this medium, you know, it's great. What's so weird about that?
In the name of Satan, I command that all be blessed who would rise on our behalf, and all be cursed who would destroy us in any way.
Yes, once upon a time we had to read fairy tales or go to the movies if we wanted to see a witch. But today it seems we're almost overstocked with these superhuman sorceresses. With this in mind, we wonder if it's only a matter of time before they unionize, demanding cozier cauldrons, shorter spells, bigger brooms, and of course time and a half for working holidays like Halloween or Guy Fawkes Day.
Leo, you're sexy. You're powerful medicine.
Astrology is the so-called science which maintains that our lives are influenced by the stars, the planets, and our date of birth. It's said that astrology began when a primitive man stuck his head out of a cave, gazed at the smogless sky, and bewitched by the stars proclaimed, "I've got an idea that'll make $1 million." The enterprising descendants of that caveman are everywhere, hankering to divine your future for a price. But whether we're believers or not, astrology is big business. Zodiac products accounted for over $200 million in revenue last year. A careful study of university curricula reveals virtually no courses in astrology. But entrepreneur Paul Masters has filled that void.
Individual mind at the time of birth are indicative of what is active in nature and impressed into the mind as that activity of nature at a given point of time and space.
You mentioned that the planets have an influence on our lives. Could you show us this in the chart?
All right. This is the chart of the planets filled in.
Here the young student works diligently for the day when his mother can excitedly exclaim, "My son, the astrologer."
Thus, the birth chart represents the sum total of the placement of the planets and how they will influence this individual throughout their entire life.
Astrology buffs will tell you that we're in the age of Aquarius, but to the dedicated astrologer, the age of the computer has become a pain in the aspect. Yes, today, for from $2 to $5 and an airmail stamp, Astro Flash will send you your very own computerized horoscope. These particular charts were done on some famous folks. For instance, President Nixon is going to have a struggle with a father figure. Elizabeth Taylor should watch out for a domestic crisis. And Howard Hughes is cautioned about extravagance. Well, perhaps the computer age does serve our hurry-up generation, but more traditional stargazers like former attorney and dean of the astrological world Carol Reiter believe that a more personal touch is needed.
You know, astrology is a science in that we use the position of planets. We can't use astrology without astronomy, which gives us the position of planets. However, you have to have a human person indicate what actually these particular planets mean. Now, a computer can do certain work, but it cannot give the complete analysis. That is a very fine art and requires much study and much concentration. But remember, we have a very marvelous saying in astrology, which I think gives everyone hope, and that is, the stars impel, they do not compel. What you make of your life is largely up to you.
I predict that a new star will appear in the heavens and last up every astrologer in the world.
It's really funny how I became an astrologer.
This bundle of planetary pulchritude is Gypsy Barbara de la Selva.
But when I was a little girl and we were learning how to read out of children's books, I didn't like it because it wasn't interesting enough. It seemed so plain all the time, Jane and Scott and his dog, Bill, and so on. So my mother had astrology books, and she taught me from that. And from that, I've been doing it ever since.
Not everyone involved in the zodiac syndrome is an astrologer. Normal people, like your everyday movie star Terry Moore, begins her day with an unusual phone call to Zodiac Phone, sort of a pre-recorded crystal ball.
Someone at a distance or quietly behind the scenes helps Wednesday.
It's silly, but I think we're all inclined to do it, and every magazine you pick up nowadays has your horoscope.
Hidden help. You're one to see worthwhile qualities in others. Tell them so.
What's so weird about that? Astrology today is largely brought into the eyes of the public by the youth cultural revolution, or the hippie movement, if you will.
I called it the happy one, where
Togetherness.
the people are trying to be aware of each other and the people near them, and they're not, they would only wish beautiful things on their friends. They wouldn't go into the black occult.
We relate to happiness, and happiness where it's at, and that's why the climax. That's why we're here tonight. That's why the wedding.
The age of Aquarius, and as the song suggests, the age of harmony and understanding, and what's more harmonious than a wedding? Now, an Aquarian wedding is somewhat informal. In fact, by most standards, very informal. Here, toasters, chafing dishes, television sets, and hi-fis are out. Flowers are in. Flowers are everywhere. No expensive wedding presents, please. Just bring philodendron, fuchsias, and fertilizer. Now, the ceremony is usually brief. They've dispensed with the old-fashioned rope vows and covets and cherishes, and our bride and groom are married in about the same time it takes to say 2 cheeseburgers and a Coke.
I wish you both the best lives. Consummation with your maker.
Ah, now we haven't seen this old bit for several thousand years. Groom suspects nothing. He's in love. But sooner or later, the plague of that apple is bound to appear. Probably about the same time as the first payment on the washing machine. Well, so much for the Aquarian wedding. We wish them well. Let's hope the flowers don't turn into crabgrass and astrology isn't replaced by alimony. No problem. Love conquers all. Doesn't it?
I predict men and women will use the same washroom within 3 years. Remember that prediction.
It's apparent that if we choose, we can have the zodiac cover every minute of our lives, and we could live it 24 hours a day. Well, at one department store, we found zodiac products in every department. Books, of course, your astrological guide to health and diet, astrology in your sex life, the astrological cookbook, even one called You Were Born on a Rotten Day. Then a zodiaction bathroom scale. And, of course, these bath towels or beach towels behind me. Zodiac jewelry, stationery, a desk set. Something called a Zodiac Love Locator. Then some mugs, tarot cards, actually blank bank checks with the Zodiac signs on them. Of course, no Zodiac display would be complete without fashion, so for my lady, well, you know, you just can't tell anything about a dress hanging on a wooden hanger, so we hung our free and easy fox on some not-so-wooden hangers. So that's astrology today. It's fascinating, it's flashy, it's fun, but is it true? Well, only heaven knows. There are a number of people, some with quite impressive credentials, who suggest that there may be a relationship between true science and the occult. One of these people is Dr. Thelma Moss, a psychologist at UCLA who specializes in parapsychology.
Scientists who are working in the laboratory are trying to find something that we like to call mind-to-mind communication. If you've gone, for example, to a nightclub or a theater and you've seen a magician do marvelous things like tell you to take out a dollar bill and read the number off it, you can be pretty sure it's a beautiful trick and has nothing to do with mind-to-mind communication. What we find in the laboratory is that there is some kind of indirect, diffuse, lots of static, lots of noise to signal, as we say, but that some message does come through from one person in an isolation booth such as this to another person who could be 50 feet away, 50 yards away, 50 miles away, and we've done an experiment 5,000 miles away and gotten good results. Here we've got a transmitter, and we're going to show him any one of a number of episodes that have a lot of emotional charge, because we believe that telepathy is carried on emotion. And what he's going to see here, as you can see, is a collection of slides and sounds that depict the Watts riot at its height. Experiencing this emotional episode, we had another person, his partner, and he's called the receiver, in another room. And at a given signal, the second experimenter will tell him that the episode has started. She doesn't know, and neither does he, anything of what's taking place in the isolation booth. But at a given signal, you'll see what his impressions are.
I hear people screaming, and they're marching. I hear a drumming, and as though there's people throwing missiles. I feel pretty clutched up inside.
Well, now, based on those impressions, we would assume that when John has shown two slides, one of which is from the Watts riot, and another showing people having a good time in the snow, an episode we call the snow sequence, he would clearly choose the Watts riot, which is what he did. We've done this experiment now with 500 people approximately, and each time in 6 experiments we've gotten statistically significant results. And we believe that this is a good, rigidly controlled experiment to demonstrate something which may be telepathy, or at any rate, some kind of extrasensory perception.
But I do think that there's a great deal to ESP. In fact, I'm sure there is. And it always seemed to be ridiculous anybody would even argue about it. Once upon a time, before we had compasses and technical things, we managed to find our way through jungles and over mountains and so on, and we knew where to go, where there was water and where there was food, without knowing how we knew. And animals still do know those things. We, of course, are trained to forget our instincts and our inner knowledge and to concentrate on our outer knowledge. And as a result, we aren't really aware that we are probably far better telephones than the telephone is.
Well, we're showing certain rather primitive experiments in what we call telepathic communication. We have a card deck consisting of 7 cards, 6 of which are black and 1 of which is red. The idea being that John is going to be the only person who knows where the red card is among the black. Alice is going to shuffle them up and show them to John, and actually, when we do this experiment, it's in 2 isolation booths, so that John and Harry are separated. But for the purposes of the experiment, we do it now. Does John know which one it is? Okay. Now, Alice will put the cards in front of Barry, and using some kind of dowsing technique, some kind of force field, we don't know exactly what, Harry can, by placing his hand above each of the cards, somehow locate where the red card is among the black. And we see what he has been doing for 1,500 trials now. And he's gotten it right so many times that the odds are an astronomical 10 to the minus 35. There we go.
That's weird.
Like, a friend of mine was, who I was living with, was playing the horses, and I said, gee, I saw a vision. I saw the tote board of, in California, in the name of the horse, and I saw the price of it. So I went to the Saturday morning in Missouri. We used to gamble, bet horses, and I said, hey guys, I don't know if this means anything, but it's a horse running something blue in California. Now look it up. If it's in there, it says, let's all bet it. And we looked at and there was, and that name of the horse was running, and as I said, I saw the name on the board. We all bet him, and he won.
We're about to take part in a seance, and our medium will attempt to contact the spirit of the late Harry Houdini.
This room was dedicated to the memory of Houdini. In fact, the artifacts that you find around the room did belong to him. The clock on the mantelpiece was the one that stopped ticking at the time that Houdini died. And this crystal ball was one that belonged to Harry Houdini. Perhaps we can make a contact this evening. Let's see if the spirits are with us. Would you all please place your hands on the table? Concentrate. Concentrate. Imagine that your fingers are magnetic. Very lightly on the table. Imagine that you can pick up the table. Just concentrate. Hands very lightly on the table. Very lightly. Imagine that your fingertips had magnetism. Think that you can rise this table. Think that you can lift this table. Concentrate on that thought. And if there is someone here, Houdini, if you're with us tonight, give us a sign. Concentrate. 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 Very light. Very light. Keep the thought in your mind. Keep the thought in your mind. Very light. Think. Think of the table. Think of the power that's with us now. Think of the power that's in the room. Concentrate. Concentrate. Harry, Houdini, if you are here, come to us. Are you here with us tonight? Show yourself, Harry. Houdini, where are you? Come back. Come back.
Weren't playing tricks on you, but we were. You did see a seance, but unlike others, this one guarantees results. Why? Because here, if you're a ghost addict, you can see a seance 7 nights a week. We're at the Magic Castle, a sort of nightmarish nightclub for members only, quartered in a ghostly Gothic old house and perched high on a haunted hill in Hollywood. Here, magicians gather from all over the world to demonstrate their latest feats of illusion. And if not actually a haunted house, this is certainly a Disneyland of deception. You don't need a martini here to rub elbows with a pink elephant. For music fans, the castle offers Irma, a ghost who plays the piano, and the spirit of a swallow. I see the idea is that if you ask questions, Irma, the ghost, is supposed to respond. Let's try it and see. Irma, how do you like living here? Okay, now let's see how good you are at predicting my future. What do you see in the future for me, Irma? Thanks a lot.
I predict that within 2 years, it will be confirmed that the White House is haunted.
For years, England's Misty Isles had a monopoly on haunted castles, but today castles are out and tract homes are in. And in one such home, we found not only the usual complement of crabgrass, but a resident ghost. So we asked famous ghost hunter Lotte von Strahl to go out and see what she could scare up.
They are not ghosts. They are just coming back here and must have had in their life, when they were living here, either in the house or around here in the neighborhood, so that they were completely drawn back to this place. That's what these entities do.
Every room in this house has had something happen in it to various friends of mine. The kitchen, people are patted, knives come from no place. The bathroom, there is no privacy in that bathroom. Everybody's being observed, taking their shower, taking their bath.
So you must have 3, if not more, but I do know that there are 2 men and 1 woman.
You mentioned the in the bathroom.
There was that horrifying man. Who?
Who is the other one?
This little child perhaps is looking for her mother or for any of her other family and can't find it, and now she is attached to this house here and to you, and she's just as children are mischief. They are just lost souls, and when they have found somebody who does respond to them as you do, well, then they stay, you see. But this only this one entity, this man, this 3rd man, whom I see, well, if it was me now, and I was living in this house, and as you say that this fellow goes with the knife around and wants to knife her, well, I would exercise him.
I think you've all flipped.
Some of us have the gift of being clairvoyant and do see the apparitions, but others feel. If I want to, only if I want to, I see.
I regret to predict the return of national prohibition in 1982. Whee! I predict a very successful political career for Miss Christine Jorgensen. Remember this prediction.
Now, during our travels into the occult world, we've found that it just abounds with people anxiously itching to tell us our future. And while the method of prediction may be a little hard to believe, the people doing the predicting are something else. Have a deck of tarot cards that need reading? This lady named Rhea will help you out.
The cards are telling you at this time to tune into the universe.
Georgiana isn't as specialized. She only reads regular cards, but no jokers, please.
There's a young lady here quite fond of you, very light, blue-eyed, but then all the girls love you. You're a Leo.
Fran reads hands.
If you are right-handed, the left one you were born with, the right one is what you have made.
And incidentally, supplements her income as an exotic dancer. If anyone ever called you a fathead, see Alibaba. Yes, he reads heads.
And this side here will show to me these 2 bumps will show you are lovers for the children, your children.
The man wearing the blindfold is Akasha. His specialty? Reading the minds of Hollywood stars and reminding them of their long-lost real names.
The first thing that's been worrying me ever since I came into this house is Helen is a common name, but as I talk to you, I get the name Helen.
Helen, that's right. That's my real name. And very few people know that. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Father.
That is amazing.
No show would be complete without an animal act, and we have ours. We're about to meet a man who claims to be able to read a dog's mind. So if Rover is a rebel or you have a delinquent Doberman, call Fred Kimball.
Ask the dog a question. I say, how is your life coming along? How old are you? Now, some animals will count in human time and some count in animal time. Animal time is double. Now, as near as it knows, it says I'm 5. I'm going to ask the dog, what do you think about this big dog here?
If Mr. Kimball really can tell what a dog is going to do, he could save us a fortune in old newspapers.
I predict an invasion of katydids in Kansas. Remember this prediction.
Are you knocking cats?
Well, as someone once said, you ain't seen nothing yet. This is Bill Morrison, and he reads balloons.
Right here. Now, from this balloon, I have determined that you can blow it up. Seems very simple, doesn't it? When you blow this balloon up with your own air, I can read the balloon because I receive from it static, kinetic, electrical, electrodynamic, cosmic, universal vibrations from it. And the air that you use to blow up this balloon is from your being. And as a result of this, it has all of your composites. And therefore, being sensitive as I am to balloons, of course, as you can see, I have a balloon skin coat on. I'm most sensitive to it, made out of over 3,500 balloons, a story behind each one, which I'm not going to go through right now. But I will be able to determine past, present, and future. Being the reader, I can get the vibrations from the readee, which in this case will be Ralph Story. The universe, in my estimation, in my opinion, is one giant, expanding, inflating balloon inhabited by the galaxies and our solar system and our planet Earth and our moon and all of the other planets. And the sun, of course, is involved. The sun is very important. I'm not going to talk about the sun right now, though. But consequently, the balloon is going to be inflating forever, the balloon of the cosmos. And I think that everything is tied in with balloons. Certainly, everything is inflated. I think we must agree to this. I don't hold with the theory, though, that you can read the life's plan through all inflatables, such as life rafts and rubber cushions and this kind of thing. I don't believe in that. I think that you can only do so through balloons. And I'm able to do that. Now, I'd like to have Ralph Story, please, to blow up this balloon. Right here.
Thank you. I guess.
Say, ordinary balloon, I buy them at a wholesaler. You can do this with any balloon if you like. Yeah, all the way to the end. That's very good.
Now that we've got the show on the road, let's put it into reverse. Another performer, Ginger Court, claims to be able to read your past through a technique called hypnotic regression.
All right, we are going to take a subject who is a very good hypnotic subject back into a pre-birth regression. Now, prior to doing this, of course, it is necessary to have a good subject who you can get into a very deep state of hypnosis. At this point, the subject has been regressed back to the time of 1 year old in this life. The object of this regression is going to be to go back even further to another time and another place. Dickie, you are 1 year old, but we are going back even further in time. Back to another time, another place. Tell me the first thing that you think, hear, see, or feel as you go back in time. You can speak easily.
In school.
You're in school. What is your name?
Lai Chin.
Lai Chin. In this particular case, he has gone back into a life in China, experiencing a portion of this life, a very small portion, of course, as Lai Chin. This is the name that he has given us.
China.
Now, at this point, I'm going to bring him back to his present life, bring him back to the time when he is Richard Sulo. He will go into the very first stages of this life, which should be rather interesting. You are now Richard Sulo. Now, as you can see, the first recall, consciously and subconsciously, that he has as Richard Sulo is the fetal position in the womb. I think this is very, very interesting. Do not go through the birth trauma. Come past the time. You are now Dick Sulo. You are 1 year old. You are Dick Sulo. You are 1 year old. Dick, you are now 2 years old. What words can you say?
Dad, Mom, Doggy.
I see. Okay, fine. Now we're going to come all the way back in time. You are 5 years old. You are 10 years old. You are 20 years old. You are 22 years old. Your name is Richard Sulo. This is Los Angeles. The year 1970. And on the count of 5, everything will be back to normal, and you will be wide awake. 1, start to awaken. 2, awakening more completely. 3, open your eyes, look at me, your head's clear, you feel great. 4, you are more and more awake. And 5, you are wide awake, wide awake.
Now, if we use our imagination, we might be able to foresee the time when not only our hands and our heads, but every part of our body will be of some use to a fortune teller, from our earlobes to the tips of our toes. Before long, we may be walking crystal balls. Most of us don't put too much stock in the supernatural, but like the proverbial cat, we are curious. So let's say King's X, cross our fingers, and let's take a peep into our future.
I get two things you're pulling, a traveling and a non-traveling thing. You're either going to do one or the other. You will travel or you will not travel. You will either be far wide or will be narrow and very thin.
You're putting in the seed for a new phase of your career, which will entail much travel.
Around August, around your birthday, be careful of driving. You could get a ticket. There is a journey, a long, long journey.
I don't see any particularly long trips that you're going to be taking.
And I see a lot of traveling probably during 1970 through 71 in the very near future.
You are going to travel and you aren't going to travel now. Probably that while you're traveling, you are not going to be moving. It's most strange.
I predict the end of the world will take place on August the 18th, 1999. You be there. Remember this prediction.
Well, maybe it serves us right. We all know that curiosity isn't good for cats, and it certainly didn't help this cat to find out where he's at.
I think you've all flipped.
Yes, we've seen that sham and silliness and charade are one part of the occult world, but maybe we should ask ourselves if that is all there is. The possibility just might exist that underneath it all there is some truth that transcends all the trickery. And if it is there, history tells us that it will survive. Columbus survived, Galileo survived, Edison and Einstein survived. And maybe, just maybe, today's witchcraft will be tomorrow's walk on the moon. Oh, yes. It is a wise man who knows he has worn out his welcome. Ralph's story here. I think.
personal assistance and accommodations provided by Quality Motels, the motels with a sunny disposition. There are over 400 Quality Motels in the United States and Canada ready to serve you for business or pleasure.
You're a warlock, and that you have the sign of an upside-down cross on your chest, and that's the sign of a warlock. You've studied Satanism.
I never was involved in Satanism, but you can see I'm a musician. You see, the guitars and stuff. There was a time in my life where I was seeking after Christ and all that, and I had come to the end of my rope in life, and you know, what I did was that I took a 5 and dime store across and all that, and I was there mounted with a candle, you see, and it fell on my chest.